please stop spamming on TikTok. Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news, updates, debates and my opinions. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, bottom right hand corner. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. I greatly appreciate the support. Lots to get into today, some gossip and drama from the world of Twitter and Gary Neville, who once again, it might not actually be Gary Neville that's the problem this time, but I want to talk about it. Balogun, what's happening with him? Charlie Patino, is he actually going to leave Arsenal? Turner and Raya updates, Kieran Tierney as well, potentially on the move on a loan deal. So we'll talk about that as well. Jelly Belly, William Saliba, good to see you all. 5-star Pat as well. The Shadow Claw, Eli, Jake Madderford. No problem. You never have to apologise, Jake. You never have to apologise. I'm good, thank you, Ethan. Good to see you. Tierney should be loaned out to a mid-table team or Newcastle and then rotated with Zinchenko. If not, he should just be sold. He's too good to sit on the bench. Well, I certainly agree with the end of that. I don't necessarily agree with the start of it. I don't think there's ever going to be a world in the future where Tierney is rotated with Zinchenko. I just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. VV Vlad, good to see you as well. So on Balogun, we'll start with Balogun. Matteo Bonetti, an Italian journalist, saying Inter are fighting Monaco to secure the signing of American striker following Balogun. The big difference is that Inter can offer him Champions League football, Monaco cannot. L'Equipe reporting that yesterday's bid from Monaco was 30 million euros, and Monaco are not giving up because they need to replace Briel and Bolo, who's their 26-year-old striker who's got an ACL injury. And then Fabrizio Romano reporting not only Inter, but AS Monaco want to try and bid again for following Balogun after the initial proposal they made on Monday was rejected. He's the top target for them to replace Briel and Bolo, who broke his ACL. He tore his ACL and is out for most of the season. So, look, this is what we've been waiting for. We need some sort of transfer battle for Balogun. We need there to be more than one team interested in him. We've known that lots of teams working at him, and already now we have Inter and Monaco willing to fight each other, and that's before potentially any Premier League teams get involved. We also heard yesterday that RC Lens have got him on their in their sights as well. So, look, if we hold out, I think, will we get 50 million? Probably not. I think 40 million is closer to what we'll end up getting. Would 40 million be good? Look, if it can come with a big sell-on clause that they're talking about, then it wouldn't be the end of the world. If you can sell him for 40, get a 40% sell-on clause in there, and even if he only sells for 40 again after that, you'll be up at well over 50 in total for him. So it wouldn't be too bad. Rory, thoughts on Tom Garrett saying Arsenal are soft? Look, when it comes to talking about soft, when you've had your actual arm snapped in two by Theo Baker, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, especially when their bones are made of fiberglass. So, no, look, I think in general, I think it's a lazy statement. I think it's an old thing to say. It's an outdated thing to say that Arsenal have a soft underbelly. I don't think we do anymore. I think, yes, fine, we ended up not winning the title last season, but there were a lot of games where we showed that we don't have a soft underbelly anymore. Beating Liverpool 3-2, beating United 3-2 in the final minute, coming back against Bournemouth, even the Community Shield at the weekend, a last-minute equaliser and then winning on penalties. I think we've begun to show that we don't have a soft underbelly anymore. I actually saw the clip, and the context was that he was basically refusing to acknowledge that Saliba's injury played any part in what happened at the end of last season, and that it was just because Arsenal are soft. One player that certainly isn't soft is William Saliba. So yeah, I think it's lazy. I don't think it's good punditry. I don't think it's good analysis. I think it's a narrative that was applicable and made sense 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. In fact, for quite a long time at Arsenal. I think it was fair. We did lack a spine. But those days are over. Those days are over. And And especially players like Declan Rice. We're bringing in players, we're bringing in leaders across the board to remove that. So, Steve Kelvin says, Rory, do you think Spurs will challenge for the title? They play nice attacking football. I'm scared now. A Tactico suggested. No, I don't. I don't think they're going to finish inside the top 5. I think they'll be scrapping with Chelsea for the sort of 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th places. Super chat from Matt Medias, who says, what more does Trossard have to do to start for us? Well, first of all, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. And it's a good question. What more, and not even what more can he do? Genuinely, if you were to say, from what Trossard has done in games, like, what more could he actually have done? And I don't know is the answer. And I do think that there will be games this season where Trossard should start over Martinelli. I think technically he's a better player. I think his IQ is probably better. In fact, it's definitely better. I think the way he can interplay is better. Of course, he doesn't have other assets that Martinelli does in terms of just that raw, blistering pace that can absolutely tear through a defence. But I think he's unfortunate not to have had more opportunities to start so far. And we'll see. I do think we'll see more of him. I do think we'll see more of him in the starting lineup this season in different games. I think we're going to have to rotate more anyway to deal with the fixtures. So, he's deserved a start, and I think he'll get those. The Community Shield is the best defensive game I've seen from Arsenal in months. Yeah, it's fantastic. To limit Man City to as few chances as they had over 90 minutes, it's very, very impressive. There are genuinely, I don't think there's another team in the league at the moment that could keep Man City to that few chances, being totally honest. Much stronger options now in defence. I think we need to maintain the cover. We do. I don't know if you're talking about Tierney. We'll talk about that in a minute. Hey, Rory, looking to go to my first home game this season. How does the whole ticket system work? Because I know it's a bit complicated. So, look, this is how the ticket system works. You'll have to apply to be a Red member, so that's like 40 quid straight off the bat to become a Red member. Once you've done that, you can apply for the ballot for a game. Between 5 and 8 weeks before the game, the ballot goes out, and you can enter it. From the ballot, you have about an 11% chance of getting a ticket for a game. Assuming that you don't get a ticket... by the way, if you do get a ticket, they instantly take your money and they don't ask you what ticket you want. You get allocated a ticket at any price level and they immediately take the money out of your account. So that's mental in itself. Assuming you don't get a ticket, so from my personal account, I've not had a ticket for any of the 3 games that have gone on sale yet, which is Forest, Fulham and Man United. Assuming you don't get one, you have to use the ticket exchange. Ticket exchange works the same as it used to, but it's a bit more clunky now than it was before. And also, they've made it pretty much impossible to buy tickets off resellers or ticket touts. Because to have a ticket, to get into the stadium, you have to use your phone with an e-ticket, and it's not even a QR code, it's if you're buying something contactless and you put your phone up to the reader because the ticket's in your wallet, your card is in your wallet on your phone, that's the only way you can get in. So you basically can't buy a ticket off a ticket tout or a reseller anymore, which is good, but it makes it much more difficult to get tickets. So that's kind of the rundown for it. Another super chat, £2 off Freddie Heritage. Thank you very much. He says, do you think we can beat Man City away or at home? At home, absolutely. Absolutely, I do. Away, difficult. Look, if you can go to the Etihad and get a draw, that will not define the season. If you're going to beat Man City in the league, you don't have to go away and beat Man City at the Etihad. If you can go there and get a draw, that's good enough. And I do think we can beat them at home. I do. Hi, Rory. Do you feel like Raya should start over Ramsdale as soon as he's settled in? No, I don't. I really don't think Raya gets into the team unless Ramsdale has a poor patch of form. And then maybe you give him a chance. But until then, I don't see him being in the team that much at all. He'll play in cup games, I've no doubt about that. But I don't see him replacing Ramsdale, who I think played really well at the weekend. Back to Balogun, just to finish up on Balogun because we got sidetracked. So Inter and Monaco are both in for him. We should hold out. We should hold out for potential Premier League clubs coming in. I'm looking at West Ham. Have just sold Scamacca. You cannot go into a season with Danny Ings and Mikel Antonio. You can't. So I'm waiting on them. And look at the sort of money that West Ham are talking about spending 85 million now on Maguire and McTominay. Not 60 would have been mental. We were talking about it on the Top 6 show on the Football Terrace last night. 60 million for Maguire and McTominay combined. And Man United have the audacity, the bravery to actually hold out for more money. And we're now hearing that it could go up to 75 or 85 million. I mean, if you're spending that much on them, you can drop 50 million on Balogun. So hold out for those. And look, by the end of the window, Monaco are desperate. They've lost Breel Mbolo. I do believe we can get at least 40 million, and we can get clauses in there that are beneficial for us later in Balogun's career as well. Patino, I wanted to talk about this because if you remember a few months ago, before the end of the season actually, it all came out that Patino was going to leave permanently, and we were all quite surprised. He went and had a good loan spell at Blackpool last season. Blackpool fans were impressed by him. I think Arsenal fans had generally been impressed by him when we'd seen him before that. And so it was a bit of a surprise when it came out that he was planning on leaving permanently. And the reason for that was that he didn't feel like the path to the first team was achievable necessarily. And Arsenal potentially didn't think that he had the ability to get there either. But Sam Dean today saying, this is in the Telegraph, Nuno Tavares and Nicola Pepe are expected to leave Arsenal in the coming weeks. Charlie Patino is expected to depart, however it could be on loan or a permanent deal. So there is still a potential that Charlie Patino goes out on loan again and may not leave Arsenal permanently. He then also said, Burnley are in talks to sign Albert Sambi Lokonga on loan as well. So potentially Charlie Patino doesn't leave, which, look, I don't think at his stage of his career, it's completely up to him what he wants to do. I think there's still room for him to go out on loan for another season, potentially to another Premier League club, a Sheffield United, even a Luton. It would be good experience for him, so we'll see what happens there. Another £2 super chat from Matt Medias. Thank you very much. He says, with Jesus being unreliable, Ivan Toney in January. Do you mean unreliable in terms of fitness or in terms of ability? Because I don't think he's unreliable in terms of ability. I think you know what you're getting from Jesus, and it's good. It's good enough for me. In terms of fitness, it's a tricky one. His fitness, generally speaking, before Arsenal wasn't that bad. But his obviously his knee injury has been problematic. If this is the end of his knee concerns and he doesn't have injury issues in the future, look, I would love Ivan Toney. If we were going to do Ivan Toney, though, I'd do it now because he's allowed to start training again in September. He's not allowed to play, but he's allowed to start training again in September. So come January, when he is allowed to play again, you're going to have a fully fit, fully trained Ivan Toney. And so, but he'll go for a lot more if people wait until January because it'll be he can go straight into a team. So if I was going to do it, I'd do it now. I do think it's a sort of profile of striker that we need. Will we do it? I'm not sure because of Kai Havertz. It seems like, we just dropped 65 million on Kai Havertz, and if Arteta thinks that Havertz can be the big profile striker up top to play long balls too, I don't think we'll go for Ivan Toney, but I would love him. The other question is, how much would he cost? And I don't know the answer to that. It's such a weird one with his situation. You followed that up with, to win titles, we need an all-out striker like Kane, like Haaland and like Toney last season. He plays well, dropping deep and helping build play, but we need someone who just bangs goals. It's interesting. If you've been watching this channel for a while, I don't believe in the idea that we need this prolific goal-scoring striker that's going to score 25 goals a season. I think history shows you don't necessarily need that to win a title. And history shows that having that in Harry Kane doesn't guarantee a title. It could mean that you finish 8th, like Spurs did. So I'm not fully bought into that, and I don't think it's a position that right now we need to focus on. But I respect the opinion, and I know a lot of people have that opinion. Turner and Raya, the daily update on Turner and Raya. Fabrizio Romano, Matt Turner completed his medical tests as a new Nottingham Forest player. Deal done, announcement soon. And it's more than likely that Matt Turner is going to start for Nottingham Forest against Arsenal this weekend. And you just don't want to see Matt Turner have an absolute worldie, Ramsdale concede a howler, and us drop points. Like, the absolute worst case scenario in that situation is that we have egg on our faces because Matt Turner has a worldie and Ramsdale doesn't. So hopefully that doesn't happen. And look, I wish all the best for Turner. He was nothing but loyal, and he did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong, and I hope that he does well. Rory, hope you're okay. Lee Gunner called you out massively today. Bless him. Bless him. And on to Tierney, finally. So Kieran Tierney. On David Raya, Sam Dean again today. Arsenal are progressing with their move for Brentford goalkeeper David Raya. But aside from that deal, are prioritising sales in this phase of the transfer window. That follows on a bit from Ornstein saying that it sounds like later in the window there might be one more signing. That this particular few weeks is being considered as the selling phase, but there might be time at the end to buy one more player. So we'll wait and see. But David Raya is moving. And then also Sam Dean on Kieran Tierney. Real Sociedad want to sign Kieran Tierney on loan. The Scottish international, who's also had interest from Newcastle and Aston Villa, did not start any of Arsenal's pre-season matches. Sociedad will be in this season's Champions League. So, look, it's an interesting option, right? Tierney can move, still get Champions League football, and arguably start for a Champions League team. So it's not a bad move for him. Is it a bad move for Arsenal? Maybe. But it depends if anyone's actually going to come and buy him this summer. We've put a value on him. It's thought that value's around 30 to 35 million. If no one's going to come in and buy him for that this summer, and we keep him at Arsenal and he doesn't really play next season, no one's going to pay 30 or 35 million for him next summer either. So it would almost be pointless if he's not going to get used at Arsenal. If he's in Arteta's plans, fine, keep him. But I don't think he is massively. Not with Tierney and Zinchenko. Not with Timber and Zinchenko and Kivior and Tomiyasu. Although I would play Tierney over Tomiyasu. But they're kind of the fourth choice left back at this point for me in certain situations. So, do you send him out on loan? Let him play consistently, which he would do for Sociedad, in the Champions League. So he's, on display in front of potential buyers in the Champions League. And maybe next summer you do get the money you want for him. It's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. For him, the loan move is probably better. It depends if he wants to leave England. I don't know. Ross Lawman says, really don't want Tierney to be sold, especially to Villa and Newcastle, as that significantly improves the moving forwards. That's another good point. I don't want to see him at Newcastle or Villa. I don't think we're going to be competing with Newcastle and Villa this season. I think there will be a gap between them and us. I think we'll be in a title race. They'll be in a top 4 or 5 race. But it does improve them. And you're right. I don't particularly want to see that. But equally, he's too good not to go to one of those clubs. He's too good to go to the next tier down below them, which is your Brentfords and Fulhams, Crystal Palaces. He's too good for them. So if he is going to stay in the Premier League, it would have to be at a team like that. I actually think KT will have a role because Timber plays the controlling, inverting left back in a different way. Yeah, he does, but I think part of me thinks Kivior is the next option beyond Timber and Zinchenko. I think Kivior is the next option. George says, "Hi Rory, how are you? I'm good, thank you. I thought the ref was weird and inconsistent on Sunday. Do you agree?" Yeah, the referee was weird. He was inconsistent. The bookings that Arsenal players were getting, Kai Havertz. Who else got? Obviously, Partey got one. That was for kicking the ball away. And the City player then did get one for kicking the ball away, Alvarez. But the Kai Havertz booking, to then not book Rodri, for example, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. We spoke about that a bit yesterday. You haven't missed Guess the Gooner. No, not yet. Tierney should be sold or on loan. He does not fit our style of play anymore. I don't disagree with that. Yeah, Gabriel as well, yeah. And then I wanted to talk about this Arteta thing. So, you might not have seen it on Twitter today, but basically Gary Neville on the overlap. So we've seen the first overlap of the new season, and there's plenty in there to get wound up about. But one thing that was interesting that wasn't necessarily like Gary Neville's fault, it wasn't an opinion of his that was wrong, was there are new rules coming into the Premier League, and part of that is to do with the managers and the staff's behaviour on the sideline. And basically, that it's just going to be far lower tolerance for staff and managers on the sideline to get a booking. And we saw that 7 minutes into the game on Sunday, Arteta got booked. Or 10 minutes in, because he was complaining that Partey had been booked, and then 2 minutes later, an equally cynical tackle, didn't get a booking. And that's fair enough. If the Premier League want to clamp down on that, that's absolutely fine. But according to Gary Neville, someone close to it that he spoke to said that the Premier League specifically referenced and cited Mikel Arteta as the reason for the rule change. Mikel Arteta's behaviour last season for the rule change. That is an agenda. In my opinion, that is an agenda. Because Mikel Arteta is nowhere near the most or the worst behaved manager on the sidelines. Whether it's De Zerbi, whether it's Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, historically the likes of Jose Mourinho, Thomas Tuchel, Antonio Conte, all of those have actually demonstrated worse behaviour than Mikel Arteta. Yes, he's very agitated on the sideline. Yes, he runs in and around his technical area. But in terms of the way he actually behaves towards the referees, he's usually very good. As an example, I can't actually remember the fixture it was, but Jurgen Klopp, when he celebrated that winner in the fourth official's face, literally ran up and screamed in his face and pulled his hamstring in the process. Just one example. Conte, known for going up to referees and screaming in their faces. And generally speaking, Arteta, as agitated as and excited as he is, he doesn't get up in their faces, he's not aggressive to them. And so it's very weird to use Arteta as the example of making this rule change. I get the rule change. If you want to make the rule change, fair enough. But using Arteta as the example is just weird. He didn't get anywhere near the most bookings of all of the managers that got booked last season. Arteta wasn't the most booked manager. And it just seems that there's this real hyper-focus on Arsenal and Arsenal's behaviour. And it wasn't just Arteta. Remember last season in or maybe it was even the season before, I lose track. But when, in the FA Cup, no, it was the FA Cup third round, right, against Oxford, when like 3 Arsenal players calmly walked up to the referee and asked why it wasn't a handball, and Arsenal got fined for it. And they even said someone specifically at the FA had demanded that there was an investigation because the referee himself hadn't even mentioned it in his post-match report. There's an agenda. I am genuinely certain that there is an agenda. And this isn't being a victim, this isn't being whatever else you want to call it. It's observing what is happening. And the fact is, Arsenal is scrutinised and Arsenal's behaviour is hyper-focused upon more than other clubs. And I don't understand why. And it's only really started happening since we started getting better. It only really started happening last season. And we have live breaking news. Breaking Fabrizio Romano news. This came out 52 seconds ago. Arsenal have reached an agreement to sign David Raya. Here we go. Live on stream, we've got the Fabrizio, here we go. There we go. There we go. And Matt Medius with the £2 super chat. Raya, here we go. And I'm actually going to change the title of the stream to Raya, here we go. There we go. Raya, here we go. So that's done. And look. What a fantastic piece of business that is. What a fantastic piece of business that is. If, and it's a big if, he comes in and replaces Ramsdale, he'll have to be an upgrade on Ramsdale. Which means we've spent net probably in the region of 15 million quid upgrading Aaron Ramsdale. Upgrading a guy who was already in the top 4 goalkeepers in the league. Upgraded him for a net 15 million quid. That's unbelievable. What else could happen? He pushes Ramsdale to the next level. He makes Ramsdale even better. If that's 15 million quid well spent, well, it is 15 million quid well spent. So there you go. There you go. Fantastic. Let me just tweet that as well. Let me just tweet that. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Fantastic. Look. Honestly, it's a piece of business that I don't think we expected this summer. I don't think even 3 weeks ago any of us would have suggested was necessary. But it's a market. It's a market opportunity. It's a market opportunity, and Arsenal have grabbed it with both hands. And when you look at the other business that's been done, you look at the other goalkeeper business that has been done, right? 25 million. Robert Sanchez, Brighton's second/third choice keeper, who got dropped last season. 25 million quid. What's the Tottenham keepers? The Tottenham keeper, I don't even know his name, is what we're talking about. What's his name? Guglielmo Vicario, right? Guglielmo Vicario. He was 20. What was he? 20 million quid. What did they spend on him? 20 million euros for Guglielmo Vicario, whose career to date peaked at Empoli. Genuinely, this is top business. In a world where United are spending 55 million on Onana. Don't get me wrong, Onana's the top keeper. But for 30 million quid less, and when we've sold Matt Turner for 10 million, fantastic. Rory, do you have any underrated Arsenal Twitter accounts to follow? Looking to expand. Do you know what? One that I would give, and he supports the stream a bit as well, Ben Mattinson. And the reason that I suggest following Ben Mattinson is because he always does threads on players that you probably haven't heard of or don't know about, and he goes into a lot of detail about players. So I rate him for that. What do we need to do to make this a 10 out of 10 window? Sales. To make this a 10 out of 10 window, we need to generate probably in the region of 80 to 100 million quid in sales by the end of the window, on top of what we've already done. And that's difficult. But it's what we need to do. That would be a 10 out of 10 window. Right now, if the window's shut now, 9 out of 10. Because ultimately in a transfer window, the purchasing is by far the most important point. And if you just look at, effectively, even if you just do swap for swaps, right? If you go Turner for Raya, Xhaka for Rice, Cedric for Timber, if you want to make that comparison, and Sambi Lokonga for Havertz. It's massive upgrades. It's massive upgrades. Sanchez for 25 is a really good deal. It is and it isn't, right? 25 mil. Is Sanchez a 25 million pound keeper? Probably. Is the second/third choice keeper for Brighton, who got dropped last season, worth 25 million when David Raya goes for 25 million? No, absolutely not. So far, the window is an 8 out of 10. Cedric and Pepe leaving make it a 10 out of 10. I mean, yeah, it's fair. Kudus in for a 10 out of 10. Yeah, Kudus would be massive for us. I'm a big Kudus fan. It would be massive for us. I think Raya is better than Ramsdale, even though I rate Rambo. He's just not on the same level as Raya when it comes to distribution. So the one thing I'd say, Ludwig, statistically you are correct. The one thing I would say, wait until you've seen Raya do it in an Arsenal shirt, because it's different. Doing it for Brentford is slightly easier for quite a few reasons. First of all, long-range distribution. When you're feeding it up to Ivan Toney, you're going to be more successful, because Ivan Toney's going to win it a hell of a lot more than Gabriel Jesus or Eddie Nketiah. Secondly, at Brentford, wasn't under as much pressure, wasn't under the same press from the fans, and the club, the level of the club, the stature of the competitions, the expectation of the fan base, wasn't under that sort of pressure. But also, Brentford wouldn't often be under as much press, a high press, as Arsenal. So there's a lot of things that you've got to see Raya do it in an Arsenal shirt to be certain that he is at the level of Ramsdale. And that is what I would say. You might be right long term. And look, I'm not going to say I love Ramsdale. I'm not going to write off David Raya. I'm not going to rule out that David Raya replaces Ramsdale. It very may well happen. He is a fantastic keeper. But I think it will take time. And I think Ramsdale has earned time. And I certainly think people that think he's going to come in and straight away replace Ramsdale, not a chance. Because it would be terrible for the dressing room. It would send a terrible message because Ramsdale's really not done anything wrong. He's had a pretty horrible year, personally. He's a massive factor of getting us into the Champions League. If you then drop him and don't even let him play in the Champions League, it's not good. Not good. Where did the transfer say 15 million? No, so the transfer itself's not 15 million. Sorry, just to clarify. The reported fee is around 25 to 27 million for the package. And Matt Turner we sold for 10. So the difference between the two is going to be about 15 million. So the net spend, effectively, to upgrade from Turner to Raya is going to be about 15, 17 million. We haven't actually had a figure on what the Raya deal is yet. So anyone that says they know the figure, they don't know it just yet. If anything, I think Ramsdale will go up a level. That concentration will improve, knowing that there's fierce competition. He has an elite mentality too. You're not wrong, you're not wrong. Talks on new Ødegaard contract. Yeah, apparently Ødegaard's contract until 2027 with an additional year is coming very soon. I'd love Ansu Fati to compete with Saka. Apparently Ansu Fati's going to West Ham. But that's another thing. If West Ham can drop 50 million on Ansu Fati, they can drop 50 million on following Balogun. Thoughts on Chelsea fans saying Colwell's better than Saliba? Let Colwell do it for at least a full season at Chelsea before starting to make the comparisons. Colwell just hasn't proven anywhere near enough yet. Don't get me wrong. Very, very promising player. Reminds me of Saliba's, talent. But he hasn't done enough, anywhere near enough yet to say that he's better than Saliba. Someone asked what I think of Dill. Look, if you want an entertaining evening, Dill's Footy Ramble on Twitter. Just go and read through the quotes and replies to his tweets from this afternoon. He's literally getting gegenpressed by the Liverpool fan base on Twitter. It's unbelievable. It's a 5-year deal. Medical is tomorrow and Thursday, so will hopefully be announced by Friday and maybe on the bench on Saturday. Well, he might be on the bench on Saturday because if Turner's playing for Forest, we'll need a second choice keeper. And look, he's fit. And with keepers, you don't massively have to adapt to a team. Rory, fish or chicken? Chicken for me, mate. Chicken. I do like fish. I do like fish. I'll take both. But I'm having chicken for tea. So there we go. Anyway, it is time for Guess the Gooner, the game where I give you an ex or current Arsenal player's career path minus the Arsenal part of it, and you have to guess who that player is. First person to get it correct in the chat gets the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks football community and the wider footballing community. So get your fingers on your keyboards. If you're watching on TikTok and you want to get involved, the Instagram icon in my bio will take you to the YouTube channel. Get over there, subscribe whilst you're here, and we will get into Guess the Gooner. So, today's Guess the Gooner. Do you know what? I have this constant paranoia that we've done so many of these. I have this constant paranoia that I've already done the player, but I don't think I've done this player. But anyway, this player started at FC Schalke. They went to AC Milan. They went to Borussia Dortmund. They went to VfB Stuttgart. And that was it. So Schalke, AC Milan, Borussia Dortmund, VfB Stuttgart. Who is the player? Whilst you're typing, Aleska asked, how are the ribs? Do you know what, right? The ribs were getting better. And then I did something yesterday. I don't even know what I did yesterday. But it pretty much sent me back to square one. I don't know if I twisted weirdly or I did something, and it really, really is quite painful again. So I'm quite annoyed. But there we go. Lots of people getting it straight away. But the first person to get it was Osman Ali. Osman Ali. It was indeed Jens Lehmann, and Osman Ali got it first. Jake Madaford was second. George Christodoulou was third. DDHI was fourth. And who was fifth? Devin was fifth. So congratulations to the top five. Congratulations to Osman Ali for getting it first. You can enjoy your evening, basking in the glory of being the Guess the Gooner champion for today. So well done. Have I done that one before? Part of me thinks maybe. Fabrizio tweet. Is it different to the Here We Go tweet? Oh, a hiccup. That hurt. Okay. Total package of David Raya will be close to 30 million. Being clarified in the next hours. Raya will sign a contract until June 2028. Medical later this week. Brentford make a huge profit, having signed Raya for 2.7 million from Blackburn in 2019. So 30 million all in. So it's a 20 million net spend on top of the 10 million that we're getting for Matt Turner. Look, it's good business. 20 million net spend. Good deal. 5-year contract. Which it's a long contract. He's in contract for 2 years longer than Ramsdale. Ramsdale's in contract till 2026. So an interesting one. But look, we'll see how it goes. 30 million all in. Good business. Job done. Move on to the sales. There you go. From Blackburn to Arsenal is crazy for Raya. Yeah, but it happens. You know, goalkeepers' careers go very differently to most outfield players' careers. You don't normally make your big breakthrough until you're into your mid to late 20s. You know, Ramsdale making a breakthrough at a top club at 23. He was 23, right? That's very unusual. Very unusual. Because it's so difficult to break into the first team because keepers typically spend so long at the same club. So it is very difficult for young keepers to break through. And so it is quite typical. You look at Emi Martinez. Look how long it took him to make to get his breakthrough. It happens a lot. But it's great. It's great for Raya. It's great for Arsenal. Hey, Rory, it was my birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Arav. Any idea when we're releasing the third kit? Yes, I know exactly when we're releasing the third kit. The 18th of August. Friday the 18th of August, the third kit is coming out. And it means we are most likely wearing the third kit for the game on Monday the 21st of August away at Crystal Palace. So there you go, the 18th of August. And look, it's time for Guess the Non-Gooner. Guess the Non-Gooner, the game where I give you a player who does not and has not played for Arsenal. I give you their full career path and you have to guess who it is. Do you still want Lavia? I'd take him if he's going. I would take him if he's going. I think he'd be a fantastic understudy to Thomas Partey if we could get it done. I really do. Guess the Non-Gooner. This player started at Bristol Rovers. They went on loan to Bath City. They went on loan to Brighton. They then moved permanently to Brighton. They went to Tottenham, West Ham, Fulham, QPR, and Brighton again. This is a tricky one. Bristol Rovers, Bath City on loan, Brighton on loan, Brighton permanently, Tottenham, West Ham, Fulham, QPR, and Brighton. And there is a correct answer. There is a correct answer in the chat. It was a tricky one. Maybe if you're young, this was, this player retired in 2016. So if you're young, maybe not the one for you. But George Taylor has got it correct. Bobby Zamora. What a man. What a man. VV Vlad was second. George Christodoulou was third. Ethan Udall was fourth. And M. Boss was fifth. So there we go. Bobby Zamora. There used to be a chant about Bobby Zamora. What was the Bobby Zamora chant? There was a chant I used to sing as a kid, like as a proper kid, about Bobby Zamora. What was it? It was something about, it was definitely about being bad at football. What was it? I don't know. If anyone knows the chant I'm thinking about, let me know. I was fourth. Mr. Anonymous thinks he was fourth. Not on my screen, unfortunately, Mr. Anonymous. Not on my screen. You were about seventh on my screen. Why are we not looking at a striker? Jesus injured. When the ball hits the net? No, it wasn't, but it was close to that. The one that I knew was when you're sat in row Z and the ball hits your head, that's Zamora. That was the one. When you're sat in row Z and the ball hits your head, that's Zamora. What a banger. He knew the one. He knew the one. That's the one. What a belt. I used to absolutely belt that out. And I had nothing against Bobby Zamora either. Well, I guess I did. He played at Spurs. I guess I did have something against him. I think Rambo will be more fearless, knowing he'll have Raya as backup, will lead him to being more dominant. I am certain that this is going to be great for Ramsdale. I'm certain of it. Absolutely certain of it. I thought I was fifth, but oh well, lol. So Andrew, basically what happens is, because everyone's internet runs at different speeds, right? So it comes through on my screen in the order that they were actually sent, but it might come through on your screen that you sent it before someone else, because it uploads your comment before it receives other people's comments, basically. But yeah. If I was Zinchenko, I'd be worried about Timber taking my spot. Look, this is what we've got. Last season, Zinchenko, if he was fit, played. Guaranteed. Last season, if he was fit, Ben White played. Pretty much guaranteed. Last season, if he was fit, Aaron Ramsdale played. Pretty much guaranteed. All of these players, all of a sudden, are under pressure. Even Martinelli, for the first half of last season, if he was fit, he played. Now he's got Trossard breathing down his neck. There's so much competition. And that is great. That is nothing other than great. Timber is class. Yeah, he is. Anyone else to buy? Just Kudus for me. Kudus would be the final one for me. And then I'd be happy. Who would you start up front on Saturday? Trossard. We don't need to start Kai Havertz up front on Saturday, I don't think. We don't need that physical presence. So for me, it would be Trossard up top. Martinelli off the left. And then you can always bring on Havertz, or even start Havertz. It wouldn't surprise me if the midfield is not Partey, Rice, and Ødegaard. It wouldn't surprise me if it's either Partey, Havertz, and Ødegaard, or Rice, Havertz, and Ødegaard. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Because you don't need respectfully to Nottingham Forest, at home to Nottingham Forest, you don't need that midfield support defensively as much. But we'll see. We'll see. And Nketiah starts on Saturday. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Anything on Patino? I feel like it's gone completely silent. Interesting you say that, Vlad. We were literally talking about that on stream today, earlier in the stream. This came from Sam Dean in the Telegraph today. Nuno Tavares and Nicola Pepe are expected to leave Arsenal in the coming weeks. Charlie Patino is also expected to leave, either on loan or on a permanent deal. So the door is still open to Charlie Patino going on loan rather than moving permanently. Timber versus Brennan Johnson will be so good. I like Brennan Johnson. I do like Brennan Johnson. It will be good. It will be good. It will be good indeed. Anyway, that is going to be the end of the stream. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a good one. Obviously, we had the live announcement of the Here We Go for David Raya. If you've enjoyed it, please smash a like on the stream. It massively helps me out. Subscribe if you're not already, as we try and get to 5,000 subscribers. And other than that, have a fantastic evening. I'll be back live at 5 tomorrow. And yeah, cheers. Da, 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 da.